Ebong.
I'm Sonia.
And I'm Kate.
Today we're dishing with you from the brand new Riss, which is located at 2275 L Street Northwest.
And today we are dishing in this brand new restaurant with another chef, Chef Steve Badt. Steve is with us from Miriam's Kitchen. Miriam's Kitchen is I'll say, charity. Right. That we hear about all of the time, but a lot of people don't really understand what it is. And you told me earlier, it's a kitchen that wants to function like a restaurant business. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, well, we're basically a social services agency that we don't try to call ourselves a soup kitchen because we do so much more. We try to lure, in a sense, clients into Miriam's Kitchen with great food and get them to sit down and then talk to them about other needs. Do they need a shower? Do they need tokens to get to a doctor? Do they need to meet with lawyers? Do they need a shower, a dentist, anything like that? And so, you know, we're basically like a soup kitchen that does a lot more, but I try to run it like a restaurant kitchen without adrenaline run, without attention to great food, just like Riss was talking about, you know, the quality she's trying to do here and she's done in the past. And listening to her just made me think about what we try to do at Miriam's Kitchen, you know, every day. And, you know, it's funny, I'll yell at volunteers in the morning saying, would you spend a lot of money on this dish if you went to a restaurant? And they'll go, and they'll get all nervous. And I said, well, think of this dish as you paying a lot of money for it at a restaurant like Riss and focusing on it and put it like, make it like someone was coming into your house and you were presenting that lasagna or you were presenting that quiche or whatever dish it would be.
So what kind of food do you provide to the people who come and eat at your restaurant?
Well, essentially, we rely on donations of ingredients. We make everything homemade in-house. We hardly ever use any canned goods, frozen goods, anything like that. So the fun of it is just like Riss every day will come up with specials in a sense based on what is seasonal or in the market, you know, that time of the year. I'll look at the donations we get. We get donations from Whole Foods, from farmers markets, from hunters. We get venison,
wow,
from even people who go sport fishing with their friends, and we'll get what they catch, and they'll, you know, send it to Miriam's Kitchen, Costco, Trader Joe's, and so we can do so much for so little money. So, for example, tomorrow we're going to have omelets with bacon, cheddar, and mushrooms. We're also going to have a fresh vegetable salad, courtesy of the White House, because we were able to get a lot of produce from that garden at the end, and we're still using some of the stuff we got. We're going to have a fresh fruit salad. We're going to have home fries. We're going to have stone ground grits with cheddar cheese. We have cereal outside. We have a coffee, juice, and we're able to do all of that for $1.50 a head. For people who can't donate money or food but want to donate time, can they come in and cook or serve? Oh yeah. For I mean, the fun of it is, I should never have a knife in my hands because it's the volunteer's kitchen. And when we plan on specials, what's great is I'll look at a volunteer and hear about their history, their heritage, and I'll say, hey, you know, do you want to make your grandmother's meatloaf? Do you want to make your dad's stir fry or whatever it is, or your own stir fry? And the idea is they bring in their talents, their skill, their creativity. My job is to try to guide them to produce that meal for 250 men and women, you know, that day. So the clients, and I like to call them more the guests because it's like someone coming into your home, they benefit from the fact that they're getting this homemade awesome meal. The volunteers benefit because they're not going to an organization where they're standing around treated with kid gloves and working at a slow pace. No, they're going to be sweating, they're going to be stressed out, I'll yell sometimes, but at the end your time is worth it. And you feel great about the fact that you woke up early, you got there, you see the guests all excited by the food, and you work with a team with other volunteers, and it's worth your time.
You feed all their needs, not just their stomach, their extended needs.
How frequently do you serve meals? So is it breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just lunch and dinner,
well,
dinner?
Currently we're a Monday through Friday breakfast program, but we're excited because we're about to finally start a dinner program in the area. And this will be the first place in Washington, D.C. where a homeless man or woman can come and sit down inside and eat a great homemade meal. You know, right now, the only options for someone who's homeless, not in a shelter, would be eating out of the cart, you know, the trucks that come to the parks, and they get maybe a hot soup, and maybe they get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but they're shivering in the cold, they're shivering in the rain, and they're trying to eat their soup. But this will be like a home that they can go to.
Well, will your cost per meal for dinner be a little bit higher than breakfast?
No, and it should actually be less, because I finally got to hire a new chef to run the dinner program. His name is John Murphy, and he's great. And part of his job is to really go further than I've gone in terms of going to farmers markets and going to the hunters and going to people who are planning on going sport fishing, to approach more stores. We don't take prepared goods, like so someone can't say, hey, I have extra roasted chicken. You know, we have our own safety guidelines. But we'll take raw ingredients where the volunteers can kind of prepare the roast chicken and compare the homemade sweet potatoes, you know, mashed with honey and, you know, seasonings and whatever, anything under the sun we can do.
Where'd you get your training from?
Actually, I worked under a bunch of great chefs in New York, Boston, and DC, and they were high-end kitchens, and I saw, you know, this focus on great food. And what it was about was just attention to detail, attention to the ingredients. So why can't we take that concept and bring it to a soup kitchen, in a sense? What's so different? If you make a lasagna, if you make risotto, if you make a great beef stew, if you really break it down, you know, it's not very complicated. And you just slow the kitchen down in a sense and tell people, don't, you know, so many people are intimidated by like cookbooks. You know, you guys might not cook at home because you open up a cookbook and say, oh God. But really, they're all pretty basic. But you know, in our culture now, in our, you know, our age, you know, people are always rushing. So you just take the recipe, break it down in its simple parts, and people go, God, a beef stew is really easy. A lasagna is really easy. Salmon crab cakes are really easy. Anything like that.
Well, I heard what you said about not only feeding their stomachs, but feeding everything that they need. So I wanted to ask you a question about skills development. Do you ever have people that come in and say, I want to learn how to cook? Can I help you in the kitchen?
Yeah.
I want to be a cook. Does that ever happen?
Well, the funny thing is, often volunteers will say, oh, you should put me in the dining room because I can't cook. And I said, no, that's the exact reason why I want to keep you in the kitchen. You know, break your intimidation towards, you know, knives and cooking and ingredients, and just have fun with it. And sometimes I'll have someone come in and go, oh, I'm a great cook. You should have me in the kitchen. I go, you know, you go in the dining room. You know, because I want
people skills over there.
Yeah, work on your people skills, because I really want people, you know, to have fun. You know, and it doesn't need to be perfect, but it need, you know, and the clients can look in the dining room and they see us running around and sweating, and how can they not appreciate the fact that volunteers are working so hard to produce them such a great meal?
Do the clients participate ever in the cooking?
No, we don't have that. It's just the volunteers.
Because, well, a good training program for,
yeah,
but that's not what your mission is.
That isn't our mission, and so that's not what we do. But, you know, we have a waiting list to volunteer right now, but when we open up the dinner program, we're going to be opening up another 1,000 slots. And I think within a couple months we'll have another waiting list, because, you know, we want to be the best place in the city, you know, to volunteer. And I remember last year in the city paper, you know, we were voted the best place to volunteer. And it's because, you know, we push you and we challenge you and we empower you. And I can yell and volunteers yell back. And it's great, because after volunteers have been coming for years, you know, it becomes family and it becomes their kitchen. And there isn't a week that goes by that someone doesn't email me and say, Steve, I don't think you're doing a good job with this. You should do this. That's great. Imagine, they're yelling at me. You know, they're very blunt. And that means they feel ownership in the place. And when you feel ownership, that means there's so many more people focused on quality.
Well, we're showing this episode very close to Thanksgiving, and you are someone that we give thanks for every day, and Miriam's Kitchen is a place that we give thanks for every day. Thank you for your service to the community, and thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you very much.
And as always, thank you for joining us here on this episode of The District Dish.